This ball is crushed. Man, what a shot. Our step back three on the way. Oh, it banks in.
Yo, welcome in. It is the Brothers and Ball podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Christopher Douglas. That's Michael Douglas. We have a bunch of topics for you guys today. The NFL schedule dropped last night. We have the NBA playoffs about a week away. And we also have the Mets and the Yankees as hot as possibly can be. They're both on winning streaks. We have to diagnose all of that. And we're lucky to have one of my buddies stopping by from the WP Sports Desk, the William Patterson Tree of Broadcasting, Stephen Bologna. He's going to stop by. He hosts the Hot Corner at Brave New Radio, so he's going to be a lot of fun to talk to. Can't wait to speak to him. But Mike, of course, as always, how are you feeling tonight, my man?
Knicks clinched. I can't feel any better. There's nothing better right now. It's been a long time coming, and I'm feeling real good. Good. I got a lot for you tonight, so let's get it.
Let's do it. So listen, without further ado, the Knicks have clinched a playoff spot for the first time since 2013. Let the music play.
We are the New York Knicks. We are the New York Knicks. Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. Say go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. We're back.
All right, man. So listen, that gets me hyped up as it is right there. And massive Knicks fans, you and me both, of course. It's been a long time coming since the Melo days that they've been in the playoffs. So what I want to know is, the question I have for you is, as Knicks fans, do we have to temper our expectations based on our opponent? Because right now it could be the Hawks in a 4-5 matchup. We could slide all the way to 6 where we are right now and end up facing the Milwaukee Bucks, which is a terrible matchup for the Knicks. So you tell me what to expect from them only in the first round. Let's just talk about the first round and the possibilities in the first round.
All right. So, number one, like I said just a second ago, I am thrilled the Knicks are in the playoffs. All right. It's going to make the playoffs worth watching for me this year, big time. But as far as the expectations, I think we need to, it's tough because you're not beating Milwaukee. I think it's more about how they play. If you go play Milwaukee and you lose in 6 tough games, all right, you play hard. You're going to be a little upset with a loss to Atlanta. I think we just have to continue to play how we've been playing and just, continue to show the rest of the league that we're not a pushover. You cannot just come and walk all over us. When you come to play the Knicks, you bring your hard hat because that's what we're about. I think we're second in the league in defense now in all major categories, right? Second overall, and then no worse than second in all major categories. So, it's just you get yourself ready. There was talks about LeBron coming to play, his first game back, and I was texting back and forth to you, and I joked saying, this isn't the night. You don't want to come. You don't want. We're tough, and the culture that has been brought back to New York. Thibodeau said he wanted to bring the Pat Riley Knicks back to New York, and that's exactly what he's done. We're not going to score 130, 120, whatever it is on you, but you know what? It's going to be a hard-earned, hard-fought win if you beat the Knicks.
That's right. You're going to have to grind it out in order to get 110 points if you're fortunate enough to get there. And we saw that on display when the Knicks played the Lakers. And if it wasn't for AD putting Randall in Alcatraz in prison, locked him up in the fourth quarter, it was something different the other night that we saw. But that was a great game that went to overtime. The question I want to ask you is, out of the teams that we could possibly face, it looks like the Hawks, it looks like the Heat. There's a couple of possibilities there. Obviously, you don't want to play the Bucks, but who do you want to play the most if you want the most favorable matchup?
So I think it's very easy. The most favorable matchup is the Hawks. Whether you play them as the 4 seed or the 5 seed, I'm not too concerned with them. Because they're a team that also is young and hasn't quite been to the playoffs, and I feel like their style of play is a little bit up in the air. With the Knicks, they play defense. They're tough. I think that style of play translates to any situation, series, team that translates. So I think the Hawks is the number one matchup. I do think. I mean, you get the 6 seed and you play Milwaukee or Brooklyn. That's going to be tough. It would just be nice to get a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
None of the Knicks will say that. They say, look, there's plenty more to accomplish.
Yep.
Um,
Who would you rather play, Milwaukee or Brooklyn?
Oof. I don't know. I think Milwaukee has that same toughness the Knicks do, but it's amped up a level. I think Milwaukee's got a legitimate shot to win the East. I think I'd rather play Brooklyn. I don't think they can. I don't think they defend. I think they're just looking to score. Do I think they beat Brooklyn? No, but do I think that's the better matchup for the Knicks? I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bucks are going to win the East. I really do.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you on that. I do think the Bucks are going to win the East. Another question regarding the Knicks. If they do get bumped in the first round, whether it be Milwaukee or Brooklyn or Miami or Atlanta, is this considered a disappointment based on how well they've played all season?
For me, it all depends on how they go out. Are they going out playing hard, playing the way they've played all year long, or are they shying away from the moment and kind of folding, in the playoffs? If they continue to play how they've been playing, and they're playing tough, they're playing hard, it's hard to call the season a disappointment when, everybody, had them as one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the NBA to start the season, and they're far from that. So I don't know. I mean, I could flip that question back to you. I don't think it's a disappointment. I think they just if they continue to play how they play, there's no way this season can be a disappointment for them.
Right. I think the only way it's a disappointment is if you end up playing Atlanta. I think Miami has a decent case as a better team than New York and a farther along team. And obviously with Brooklyn with their stars and then Milwaukee with the way that they've played. If you get matched up with Atlanta, you have to win that series.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can get physical with them and you can outplay them. You can knock them off their spot a bit, and the Knicks have all the makings to be able to beat Atlanta. I will be very disappointed if they lose to Atlanta.
Yeah, they should beat Atlanta if that's their matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't think Atlanta's style of play combined with their youth is conducive to winning a playoff series right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Knicks, even though they have a young nucleus, defense and toughness never goes away, no matter where whatever the setting is, that's always there. So I think the Knicks take care of the Hawks. I don't think you have to worry about them losing to Atlanta. I really don't.
Yeah. Listen, I'm very excited for it. We're gonna get back to the Knicks briefly when our guy Stephen Bologna joins us in a few minutes. But I do want to switch gears over to the Western side of it here, and not so much the top half of the Western bracket, but there's a lot of headlines surrounding this possible play-in game for what could be the Lakers versus the Warriors, a LeBron versus Curry showdown that we're not used to seeing. An 8 versus 7 to see who's going to play the 7 seed, to see who's going to play the 2 seed. And then that team that loses that game is going to have to fight off whoever wins the 9-10 matchup. So what do you think of the possibility here with Curry and LeBron showing down in a series that we're not usually used to them seeing?
Oof. Okay. So, number one, in a season where the playoff tournament is kind of in full effect, last year they had it. It was kind of, just to make the COVID season exciting.
Right.
This year, it's a real thing. And, you know, when everyone that I listen to on TV says how terrible idea this is, for them to get Curry and LeBron in a play-in game is fantastic for the NBA. It is fantastic. Now, look, I'm a big Laker guy. I don't think, you know, as good as Curry's been, I don't think he has a shot by himself to beat the Lakers. You know, Draymond, I mean, he can talk about how good of a defender he is. He's not guarding AD or LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Not at the level that they need to guard them. So the Lakers would win that, I think. You know, as a fan, Curry versus LeBron, I mean, you can't ask for much more in a play-in scenario. I will say, though, Curry is the kind of player where he could get hot and he can just
We've
go
seen
for
it.
50, 55, you know, and it's just one of those nights. And so, you know, you just got to be careful. But I think the Lakers overall, I think they would take care of business in that play-in game.
Mm-hmm. So say it does shake out like that. Say the Lakers do win. They're in the 7 spot. And the Warriors take care of their business. They end up in the 8 spot. That means you're looking at Utah versus the Warriors. And you're looking at the Lakers versus the Suns. Now, start with that first one I said. Warriors and Utah. Conley and Mitchell haven't played in a while. Utah still looks good. They've still maintained that number 1 spot. Do you give the Warriors any shot in a full 7-game series to beat the Utah Jazz?
No. Look, I'm not a huge fan of Utah, but as a team, they're a better basketball team than Golden State. And, you know, same thing like I was just saying, you know, Curry could go bonkers in a game or two. But for them to win 4 games in a series, Curry would have to be absolutely out of his mind. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think Utah probably wins that series in 5 or 6 games, not 4. It's not going to be a sweep.
Yeah.
Curry's going to get 1.
Of course. He'll probably drop 50 in one of them.
Yeah, he's going to get 1 by himself.
Yeah. I mean, well, we're also going to get to it in Justified, Just Foolish. There's NBA topics for today's show, but I want to switch gears to the Lakers. If they're the 7th seed and the Suns are the 2 seed, the Suns are kind of the sweetheart of everybody's NBA season here. Everyone's making their Chris Paul for MVP case. Everyone's got their Monty Williams for Coach of the Year case. And I want to know what you think of that series. Do you think that speed bump on the way, because everyone still has the Lakers favorited. Vegas has the Lakers favorited to make the finals. Nobody sees the Suns as your traditional 2 seed. Are we overlooking the Suns in this matchup, 7 versus 2?
No. If the Suns got anybody but the Lakers, they may have a shot. But look, Monty Williams, you can have Coach of the Year. Chris Paul, you know, you've had a great career. You can have the MVP. Some people have him as, you know, second the MVP behind Jokic. There's no way they beat the Lakers in a 7-game series. There is absolutely no shot, and I don't think I need to elaborate. I mean, this is the defending champs. LeBron and AD versus Booker and Chris Paul. I mean, I don't see any way the Suns win that series. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it goes more than like 5 games.
Yeah. We just saw the Lakers beat the Suns here over the past week as well. And DeAndre Ayton just completely vanished in that game, which is a scary thought if you're Phoenix.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I don't know. I mean, I think we both think the Lakers win the play-in series. I think they win the first round. I think the bigger question, and I'm going to pose this to you, is what are the chances, you know, to get to the conference finals? And do you like their chances in that series and in the finals? You know, what do you think?
For the Lakers.
Yeah, for the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, you and me, we're both kind of have an understanding here with the Lakers that, you know, we're in agreement. I do think that they're going to end up back in the finals. you haven't seen him at full strength, which I get. People like to see their team in full, fully healthy and making all the right moves down the stretch. But this is a team where they've been there and they've done that. Once they get Dennis Schroeder back, Drummond is starting to come around a little bit. He's had his moments up and down, but Davis looks like Davis again. It's getting scary. LeBron is not going to come back until he's healthy and ready. I think he's ready to play right now, but he'll be back very, very shortly. As Shannon Sharp always says, the storm is coming. The storm's coming. It got delayed a little bit. Sometimes they're off with the timing. But no, I really do think that they're going to be back in the finals. I give them more than a 50% chance to come out of the West, even if they have a play-in game. Wow. Only because you run down the list. Utah has nobody who's been in the finals before. Denver has nobody who's been in the finals before. Phoenix has nobody who's been in the finals before. The Portland Trailblazers have nobody who's been in the finals before. Norman Powell, besides him, from Toronto. The top half of the West is people who have never been there before. Dallas, they've never been there before. The Lakers are the only team who's done it. The Clippers, I'm sorry, I omitted them. Kawhi is the only guy, but we saw what the Clippers are liable to do. I don't know. I don't have any faith in the Clippers. I got all my eggs in the Los Angeles Lakers basket. I do see them bringing this thing home. The Western Conference, at the very least, depending on their finals matchup, I think that they have an upper hand no matter what.
Now, I'm gonna quickly ask one more question. If the Lakers sneak out of this playoff scenario and they slide into the 6th seed, it's likely Lakers-Clippers first round. Does that mean first round exit for the Clippers?
Yes. And the reason why the Lakers would love that, if they somehow can get back to the 6th spot, because I think the Clippers are their biggest contender at this point. The Clippers have the biggest chip on their shoulder. They're the most talented team of those left. And they have the coach who's been to the finals before and done it before.
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone in the West outside of the Lakers. And the Clippers, I think, are the team that's the most motivated to make something happen. I think we're dead set for a Lakers and Clippers Western Conference final in the end of this.
Oof. That'd be the first one for the Clippers. We'll see. Yeah. I don't think the Clippers have a shot against the Lakers. I really don't. But I also agree that that's their biggest threat. So, what does that say about the West? These teams that they're, they got a lot of wins, 50, 48, 46, 45. But none of them are a threat to the Lakers. And I don't know. I think the East is the bigger question at this point.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait for it. Like I said, playoffs coming up next week. We're going to see how these matchups settle out before the tournament is finalized. But after the break, we're going to get into some justified and just foolish. We're still sticking with the NBA headlines, so please keep it locked. This is the Brothers and Ball podcast. Welcome back. It is the Brothers and Ball podcast. We're going to get into our segment that we have each and every week. That's Mike Douglas. I'm Chris Douglas. This is called Justified and Just Foolish. So, Mike, take it away. We got some quick topics about the NBA.
Yeah, we do. We're going to start with you here. All right. Besides the Lakers, take them out of the equation. Okay. A team from the play-in tournament will win a first-round series. Justified and foolish.
All right, so this is a loaded one actually. So before the injury that went down in Boston with Brown, I would have said maybe the Celtics have a chance to beat a Nets team if they can get physical and make all the right plays, get all the breaks throughout a series. I don't see anyone from the East doing it. That means it comes down to the Warriors doing it, the Grizzlies, or the Spurs. So really, I don't see the Grizzlies or the Spurs doing it. I'm going to say it's justified. I have faith in Golden State. I really, really do. There's good teams in the West at the top, but there are teams that have not been there before. You can never underestimate the heart of a champion. It's what they always say. Steve Kerr, Draymond, Curry, these guys have done it before. The pieces are falling into place. Wiggins had almost 40 the other night. If Wiggins can give you between 25 and
oh my God.
If Wiggins can give you 25 plus and Oubre can give you 15, what's stopping this team? I'm giving the Warriors a chance. It's justified because I think that the Warriors and the Lakers upset the 1 and the 2 seeds. It's never happened before. It could happen this year. I'm going to go with justified. I got big faith in the stars out west.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm disagreeing big time. I don't see Golden State having enough to win a first-round series. And you kept that quiet. We just talked about all these teams in the open, and you didn't say anything. You were waiting for this. You were waiting for this
Listen, we
moment
prepped it. I
to
knew what was
ride.
coming. We prepped it. I knew it.
You were waiting for this Golden State stuff. No, no. There's no way. No way. Absolutely not. I disagree big time. Outside of Lakers, no one else. The East is got no shot. I mean, I'm looking at it now. Hold on, let's go. I got Boston, no. Hornets, no. Even though I love what the Hornets are doing. Pacers, absolutely not. And Washington, they're the scariest. No. So Washington is the scariest of the bunch, but I don't think, but because they have two guys who can go nuts at any point. But yeah, no, absolutely not.
Think about a Washington and Brooklyn series. Each team would average about $130.
Oh,
and
man.
It'd be the first one to 140 who wins the game.
That'd be big time TV. You'd have to watch that.
Yeah, it'd be all offense. But let me flip this around for you. We're going to stay in the East. I foreshadowed it here. I mentioned it in the first question. Jaylen Brown is now out for the season with his injury. It was a wrist injury or hand injury. So the statement here is that the Celtics are still a contender without Jaylen Brown. Justified or just foolish?
So we're saying contender to win the East, yes?
Yeah, Eastern Conference Final, make some noise, win some series. Take out some top dogs.
I say they win the play-in game. They get the 7 seed. That would line them up with Brooklyn or Milwaukee. I think it's just foolish. I don't think they can win a playoff series. With Jaylen Brown, they were a scary team. And with Jaylen Brown, I think they probably sneak out of the play-in tournament altogether. And then they pose a real issue in the first round. I don't see it. I don't see how they can. They're going to get out of the play-in tournament. Hornets, Pacers, Wizards, a little bit on the weak side, but I don't see how they go any further than that. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to agree with you. I do not see the Celtics as a legit contender. I don't think that they can win a playoff series versus these teams in the East. We know that the East is pretty top-heavy. The top 3 teams are big, star-studded teams. So I don't see the Celtics being able to keep up, although I do see guys like Marcus Smart, a couple other guys on this team that can step up and fill a little bit of Jaylen Brown's void, but Jaylen Brown's averaging 25 points a game when you lost him.
He's had an incredible year.
Yeah, it's a huge loss. You can't overstate it. Tatum's not going to be able to do this thing on his own. Kemba, I never saw as a big-time, step up into the moment type of player. Kemba's going to be consistent in what he gives you. So, yeah, Marcus Smart's role will grow. He's going to be maybe a shining star in the first-round series, but they don't even make it out of the first round. They're not a contender. No way.
I agree. I mean, you hit it spot on just now with Kemba. He is what he is. I think he's a great third player on a contender, which is what he was on this team before Brown got hurt. But
now
to
you got to
slide him into that, to slide into that 2 spot, and then like you said, Marcus Smart. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. So, but we're gonna flip it. We had some history made here. Russell Westbrook passed Oscar Robertson all time in triple doubles, so he is now the triple double king, Russell Westbrook. So, Russell Westbrook is a top 5 point guard all time. Justified, just foolish.
Just foolish. I'm sorry. I'm not going to waste any time with this.
That was quick.
Pete, I know, and I'm going to come off like a hater. But I got strong feelings about this. He's played with great teammates his entire career, and he's been racking up these triple-doubles since, I guess, maybe like his 4th or 5th year in the league. He started going crazy with these triple-doubles. And then the year that KD missed most of the season, he comes out and wins the MVP. He's not top 5. I'll give you my top 5, then I'll tell you why Westbrook's not top 5. This is my order. You're not going to agree with it. Steph is number 1. Magic's number 2. Isaiah Thomas is number 3. Chris Paul is number 4. And John Stockton is number 5. Westbrook is probably 6th. But the reason why you can't put Westbrook in this top 5 is because you can watch his games as recently as this week, okay? His team is winning in the final minutes of the game versus Atlanta, 2 games in a row versus Atlanta where he's winning in the final 2 minutes, and they can't close the game out. No Bradley Beal, no one else to go to, and he can't get the job done. I'm sorry, the 5 point guards that I have in front of him are clutch. The 5 point guards that I have in front of him are not liable to blow leads like this. Triple-double or not. I can't put weight into a 20, 10, and 10, whatever he's been averaging all these years. It's impressive. It's incredible. I get it. But you have Davis Bertans getting out of the way so that Westbrook can snatch down a rebound and he can grab 15, 20 boards a game. I can't put weight into what he's doing. He's never been on a good team that does it consistently. And when it comes down to the crucial moments, I think he's more of a liability than he is an asset. He bricked a 3 down 1 point. Bricked a 3 down 1 point to Atlanta this week. Do you know how much that would have helped the Knicks for them to win those 2 games versus Atlanta? The Knicks wouldn't be in the 6th spot.
Yeah, no, yes, yep.
Okay, so he's liable to sell your team out. Once he gets the triple-double, he's liable to sell you out in the last 2 minutes. It's just foolish. He's not top 5. He's maybe a top 30 player all time. Maybe.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit here.
Just be honest. Just be honest. He's not.
I'm gonna be honest. I agree with the just foolish of being top 5. I disagree with top 5 though. I have Magic 1, Curry 2, Oscar Robertson 3, Isaiah Thomas 4, Chris Paul 5. So Robinson in and Stockton out.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, the slander that you just ripped Westbrook with.
I know. I'm going to sound like a hater.
Incredible. Okay. I mean, look, we can talk about, how he had Harden and Durant and didn't win. Right?
Paul George and Melo couldn't win.
But wait a second. Durant or Harden didn't win with that team either. So was that Westbrook's fault? Right? I mean, Paul George to this day, we don't trust in a big moment.
But we make Russell Westbrook seem like he's some huge alpha that's going to do a triple-double and carry the team to a victory when it's the exact opposite. He'll get you the triple-double, and it'll look good while he does it. And then at the end of the game, he's out of gas or he makes the wrong decision. Do you remember the Rockets and Lakers series? He had James Harden twice. He had James Harden in his prime with the Rockets last season. Averaged a triple-double that season too. And then faded and fizzled out, turned the ball over 7 times in an elimination game versus the Lakers. He's not reliable. He'll get you a triple-double and it'll look good on the numbers. And people who look at the stats are going to look back and say, oh, Westbrook was so great. He's top 3 point guard of all time. Magic doesn't have his numbers. Steph doesn't have his numbers. But you have to watch the game in order to tell his impact at the end of the game. He just doesn't get it done. It's that simple. These other guys have signature moments down the stretch. I can't think of Westbrook's besides in the regular season. I can't think of it.
I can't get down with the slander. He deserves his respect on what he's done throughout his career. Numbers wise, he hasn't had an issue off the court. He's done everything he's supposed to do as an NBA player, right? Except win a title. And we talked about it last week, Carmelo Anthony being top 10 all time in scoring, right? He doesn't have a title. What's the difference as far as how we view these guys? And I love Melo, love him. The slander is too much. We got to stop with the slander on Westbrook. I don't think he's top 5, so I agree with your take. But the absolute slander on Westbrook is out of control, in my opinion.
I wish Carmelo had a teammate that was Kevin Durant's caliber. I wish Carmelo had a teammate that was James Harden's caliber or even Bradley Beal's caliber. Melo has been by far the best player on any team he's ever been on, besides right now with Portland, obviously, with Damian Lillard, but he's no longer the player in his prime. Westbrook, you can still say he's in his prime with the numbers he's putting up. I just saw him go 20, 20, and 20. I mean, I see it, but if it comes down to the last possession and he bricks a shot and they lose, what am I supposed to put weight in? The fact that he got a triple-double or the fact that he did what I've watched him do since he was 22 years old with the Thunder?
Wow.
He hasn't changed a bit. I'm sorry. I can't get down with that. I can't.
We'll see.
I have to
We'll
spin it
see.
around to you. We'll wrap it up on the Westbrook stuff. Don't get me started with that. This is the years going with him.
This has been built up.
Yes. I'm tired of hearing that he's so good and he's, he doesn't produce wins. But
Oh, Christ.
we'll go back to a prediction that you made prior to the Jamal Murray injury. You told me that the Nuggets are going to win the West. So, my
And I
question
felt
for
strongly
you
about
is,
that.
yes, you did. You came out and you had a really good take on that. They haven't skipped a beat since Murray's gone down. They really haven't. Jokic has stepped up, and I believe that's what I said when we recorded that podcast, is that Jokic can really make a case for MVP if he keeps this team afloat, and he has. So my question for you is, Nuggets are still contenders in the West. Is that justified or is that just foolish?
This is a tough one for me because I like Denver. I really do. I like them a lot. I thought they were poised to really make noise in a year where the Lakers were a little beat up. But they're not contenders. This is just foolish. They're not going to have enough firepower going forward to take a team like the Lakers down. And let's remember, last year they went 7 games with Utah and were down 3-1. So as it stands now, maybe they beat Portland in round 1, then you get Utah in round 2. Utah's clearly a better team. It's a 50-win team. That's no joke. So it's just foolish. It's a hard one for me because I really like Denver and I love what they've built over there. They've done it from the ground up. In a market where it's tough to get really good players, so you have to draft well. It's just foolish, but I really like what Denver's done.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to also say just foolish. Just for the fact that after Jokic, I really don't trust anyone on that team to consistently give you between 20 and 25 points, and that's what you need from that second guy. That's what Murray would have given you. I can't trust Aaron Gordon. I can't trust Michael Porter Jr. just yet, although he's making his strides. I don't see him as a big impact playoff player. And, the rest of those guys, they're good. They're a very scrappy team. I just don't see them. I think Portland gives them hell, honestly, if they end up matching up with them in the first round. Portland's been playing fantastic.
Portland's
They're deeper than Denver right now. It's going to be a tough road for Denver, and it's unfortunate because they were looking so promising at that time that you did make that prediction.
Yeah, I agree. I do think Jokic has locked up the MVP. I don't think it's a question anymore. I mean, because like you said, he's kept them pretty much at the same level they've been in when Murray got hurt.
That's right.
So I think he deserves the MVP. I just think we can all agree that Jamal Murray losing that 20-plus point score a game come playoff time is going to really, really hurt them.
Yeah. I tend to agree, and he was so huge in the bubble last year, so
yeah, he was
it's going to be
time.
a tough road. It's going to be a tough road, but listen, no free passes for Russell Westbrook around here, and that's the story of Justified Just Foolish. We're not crowning anybody here on the Brothers and Ball.
I'm going
to
tell you something right now. If Westbrook finds a way to win this little playoff, this playing tournament bracket, and he wins, you will not hear the end of it on the podcast. I promise.
I would love to see him
get
a chance at Brooklyn or
is
Philly, and they would get swept unless Bradley Beal takes care of it. They would get
I'm
swept.
not talking about them winning a series. I'm telling you, if they make it out of that playing tournament, I'm coming after you.
If they beat Indiana and Boston, ooh, big deal. Big deal.
Okay.
Well, listen, after the break, we're getting Stephen Bologna on. He's going to give us some great insight.
Yeah,
He's very versatile.
Yeah.
We're going basketball, baseball, football with that guy. He's very good. Can't wait to have him. Can't wait to have him. So keep it locked. It is the Brothers and Ball podcast. All right, welcome back. This is the Brothers and Ball podcast. Happy to have Stephen Bologna joining me and Mike here. Steve, long time no talk, man. My boy from the hot corner, you're still hosting that.
Yep.
William Patterson, my man, holding it down for us. How you feeling tonight?
I'm doing good, Chris. It's been a long time since we've talked some good New York sports. You know, our Knicks, they're finally doing something. We were in the gutter for a long time, taking a lot of trash talk, but now
That's right.
Not anymore. I'm doing good though. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. So if you want to check Steve out, he's on Brave New Radio, WP 88.7. Like I said, the hot corner. Me and him used to hold that down, but he's still doing his thing over there. So please check him out. But you just mentioned it, man. The Knicks have had an amazing season. So give me your takeaways from the season, and then right after that, give me your expectations for the playoffs.
I mean, expectations 10 times more than what I would have ever thought, exceeded by a million times again, like what I would ever have thought. You know, this is a team that was the laughingstock of the NBA just a year ago. They got rid of Fizdale early back in 2020, and they bring in Thibodeau, who is an established veteran coach who's known for winning. Comes in and they draft Obi Toppin, who off the bat I wasn't a fan of, and I'm still not really a fan of. They sign, Taj Gibson again. They get Nerlens Noel, and these are guys like 1-year deals. They're gonna not work out. They're gonna be terrible. The over/under was like 26 wins for the Knicks, but Thibodeau turns this ragtag bunch of guys into an aggressive, defensive playing team. Julius Randle turns into an all-star, definitely most improved player in my book. RJ Barrett turns into the piece that the Knicks drafted him at number 3 to be. And they hit on Emmanuel quickly late in the first round. And this is a team that you don't want to play in the playoffs. They will wear you down the whole 48 minutes. And it's just fun to see. Like I said, this is the laughing stock of the league a few years back. It's the first time in the playoffs since 2013. Now, that being said, I don't know if – I think they're going to make whoever they play, either if it's the Hawks or Milwaukee, I think they're going to make it close. I give them a better chance against the Hawks. Now, that being said, this is a team that beat Milwaukee twice in this regular season, so I'm not putting them past anything. My only issue for the Knicks is they're still missing that superstar, that big-name player that's going to drop you 30 a night, that's going to bring in the ticket sales. Now, Julius Randle's done a great job. But this is the only year he's ever done this. In the 3 other teams he's been on, we've never really seen this before. So that being said, I think they're going to make a playoff series close, but I don't think they're quite there to win a championship yet.
I love it. I love it. That was
it's all encouraging
to my ears. Music to my ears. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, I love it. We need to have this guy on more often, Chris.
Yeah.
He'll be on.
I'm free. So.
That's right.
All right. So, Steve, you're a big baseball guy. We're going to flip into baseball here.
Do
all right. And not everyone had Corbin Burns on their hot takes list to start the season. But this guy gave up his first walk today, 58 Ks before his first walk. So talk to me. Is this level of Corbin Burns sustainable going forward? Is this something we should expect for years to come?
Not at all. I don't think this is just a flash in the pan kind of start to the year for Corbin Burns. And that being said, I think he's a really good pitcher. But in reality, he's not even the best pitcher on his own team. I think Brandon Woodruff is by far and away the better pitcher. But, if for the Brewers' sake, I mean, if he can keep this up, I mean, that'd be incredible. He is 2-3 on the season, so he's not Iron Man yet. Or Thor, as some Met fans call their pitcher. But again, I don't think this is a Corbin Burns we're going to see for the rest of the season. I think in the next couple of starts, he's going to give up that 4-5 inning or 4-run in the 3rd, 4th inning kind of game and just kind of come back down to earth. I think if he does keep it up, though, he will get himself an all-star berth.
Yeah, he's definitely had a hot start to the season, but switching gears to a team that's had a really hot start, That's me and Mike's Mets over here, man.
Yes.
Listen, we've won 7 in a row now. We're feeling ourselves. Lindor's finally out of his funk. I
Finally.
want you to tell me what you have taken away from the Mets because they're doing it in a different way than we expected. We expect them to mash the ball and score runs. They've really been a terrible hitting team. They've had a great bullpen and a great starting five. So you tell me what you've taken away from the Mets so far.
Listen, I think if the Mets weren't in first place at this point in the season a couple months ago, it's like, okay, what's the problem? Big spending team. They bring in the $1 billion owner. They get Lindor. They get James McCann. They get all these guys. And, Lindor off to a slow start, but then you get guys like Brandon Nimmo, Dom Smith, just stepping up big time. Edwin Diaz, about damn time this guy starts doing something for you. I'll say this. I hate Marcus Stroman, but he's doing good. I'm going to give it to you there. He's doing really good. Taiwan Walker, another late offseason signing that's stepped up. Now, 7-game winning streak, beat the Orioles twice. You beat the Diamondbacks by 2 runs in 2 of those games, 1 run in that first game. You lost to the Cardinals, but you did beat them twice. Some of these wins, though, Pat Mazeika, 2 Fielder's Choice wins. Earlier in the year, Conforto putting his elbow over the plate. A win's a win, so I give the Mets the credit for it. But when you do play that good competition, the run support's not there, and that's bad for Jacob deGrom, who is unfortunately hurt. But let me tell you, when this guy's on, by far the best pitcher in the game. I will admit that to you, too. Pete Alonso, I think's doing pretty good as well. Definitely not the power that we all expected. His rookie year breaks the home run record, and it's, this guy's the best hitter in the game. It's not the case. But, again, they're in first place, so they must be doing something right, and I think it starts with that bullpen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You're talking to Mike,
well,
who's a huge Diaz hater. By the way, for the record,
baby.
anyone listening,
Wait a second.
trash talks Edwin Diaz any chance he gets. Just want to put that out there for people listening.
Oh, my God. You took my transition into
go ahead,
the next
man.
question. So, look, I'm not a big Diaz guy. I'm really not. I didn't like his first year with the Mets. You liked last year for him better than I did. I wasn't on board with him. He's looked good this year. I need to see more. But what measures his success for me is what this guy is about to do tonight, and it's Jarred Kelenic, who is making his debut for the Mariners. If this guy becomes a superstar, it does not matter what Edwin Diaz is at all. I don't care what you say. Okay, so the question here is, what do we expect from Kelenic tonight in his debut?
Oh man, I'm expecting no hits. I'm being bold. I don't think he gets any hits tonight. I think he's going to be a little bit of a slow transition into the MLB. Now that being said, this kid's a superstar, and you did trade him for Edwin Diaz and Robbie Cano, whatever you want to even call him, wherever he is in this world. Not sure, but I've been reading reports that scouts are comparing Kelenic to Bryce Harper. And you guys traded him without even giving him a chance. The next offseason after the draft, good old BV Dubs comes in and trades for a 1-year all-star closer and Robbie Cano, who is on that massive contract. And I agree with you, Mike. I think a lot of the success is going to become of what happens to Kelenic. Because if Kelenic comes a 10-time all-star, power hitter, silver slugger, gold glove winner, it's, damn, you guys traded this guy when you had him. And again, I think that I don't think rookie of the year, but I think he's going to show off that power a little bit. I'm going to say 10 to 15 home runs before the end of the season because this is a kid that's still young. 20 years old, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
The power is there. All the tools are there. One of the highest rated prospects in the game. And they got a nice little core out there in Seattle. That's a team that's been really bad, but they got some guys coming up the pipeline that should help, and it starts with Kelenic.
We'll see what comes tonight with him. But I do want to ask you, the Mariners have had a little bit of a shocking start to the season. They're better than people think.
Yeah.
Give me your most surprising team and give me your most disappointing team thus far.
I'll start with most surprising, and I'm going West Coast, NL West, San Francisco Giants, 23-14, leading the West by 2 games. I mean, the Dodgers 20-17, the Padres 21-17. I mean, they're in a division with the 2 favorites for the NL, and they're out there. They're sitting there at number 1. Again, I don't buy into this. I don't know if you guys remember 2 years ago, the Mariners started 14-1 or something like that, and at the end of the year they're at the bottom. This is a team that won a series against the Padres. Again, they versed the Rockies a couple times, the Pirates and the Rangers. So that's where those wins kind of come from. But, I mean, the production's there. I mean, Buster Posey's kind of having a resurging year, which is good because he, at his time, I mean, one of the best catchers we've ever seen, especially his MVP season. Mike Yastrzemski's always putting up good numbers. This isn't going to last, but it's just cool to see them at the top of the West. Now, most disappointing, I'll go AL Central, and this is looked at as a favorite in the AL, and that's the Minnesota Twins sitting in dead last. Don't know why. 12-21 in the year. I mean, they have pieces. Jose Berrios, I know that's a Chris Douglas guy right there.
That's my guy right there. That's my guy.
Jay Happ, Max Kepler, Byron Buxton has been on a tear. I know he's on IL, but you're sitting there at 12-23. You're worse than the Tigers. Something's wrong, especially when you were looked at as the favorite to win this division in the offseason. They've lost 4 in a row, 3-7 in their last 10. That's disappointing.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. All right, we're not going to let you go here before we talk about your beloved Yankees, right?
Yes.
That's right.
We can't do that. So what do we got? 4 in a row, right?
Yeah.
Luke Voit just came back. All right, you're
Yep.
a game back of Boston.
Yeah.
Thoughts so far? What do we got? Talk to me.
I mean, they turned things around, which I like. Now, that being said, they're down 9-1 right now against the Rays in the 8th inning, so they're going to be 2 games behind Boston after this one. Don't get too excited there, Mets fans. But after such a slow start to the season, it's nice to see them turn things around. Now, that being said, I'm still not sold on this team. Will always be the same team, live and die by the long ball. And you've seen the past winners of the World Series. I mean, the Dodgers have 1 through 9 that can hit for power and hit for contact. The Nationals, maybe a little bit of a Cinderella story, but they had 1 through 6 that can do that. The Red Sox the year before. I mean, I don't know why Brian Cashman still has the same mentality of bringing all the power hitters are going to bat 230, with 200 strikeouts, but hit 35 home runs, when it's not going to get you really anywhere. It's not going to get you past the Rays. That being said, I think the roster, when healthy, is the most talented in the AL, number 2 or 3 in the league. It's just, can they come up in the clutch when it matters? But, they're kind of turning things around. So it's still early, very early. They're sitting at 20-16, going to be 20-17 after tonight. But everyone's got to stay healthy. I mean, we have yet to see the Stanton IL stint, the Aaron Judge IL stint. I mean, we're talking about best pitcher in New York right now. I mean, Gerrit Cole's putting up some numbers. 8 innings, 12 strikeouts, no runs last night when we're recording this. So
Incredible.
They still need a couple more pieces, though, and look for Cashman, hopefully, to buy them at the deadline, because we've been hearing for the past, 3-4 years, Cashman's going to make these big deadline acquisitions, and then nothing happens. So we'll see, but I'm confident.
Yeah. A big blow for them is the fact that Gleyber Torres came down with COVID-19 today, tested positive for that. He just hit his first home run, last week. So maybe he was just coming to form, and now he's got to sit out for a while. But
And he was hitting the ball a little bit. He hadn't hit home runs, but recently he's been pretty hot. So it's
that's a big blow. He's one of their best players for sure. And Bologna, you're a real versatile guy. So I'm not going to also let you go before you give me some Washington football takes,
Oh,
man.
baby.
I kind of like what they did in the draft.
Oh, baby.
I want you to tell me what you expect from them now that we know their schedule, now that we know what the division looks like. So you tell me what's going to happen with the football team this year.
I'm hoping. I think they're going to give Dallas a run for their money for the NFC.
You hear that,
title.
Mike?
Listen, Dak Prescott does scare me because I think when healthy, the Cowboys are by far and away the best team in that division. And Washington, unfortunately, is riding on Ryan Fitzpatrick to be their starting quarterback. They did not address it at all throughout the draft or in the offseason. But this is a team, they made some moves. I mean, we already know how good that defense was. They signed William Jackson III, a top corner in the league. He's your number 2. You signed Curtis Samuel, an elite playmaker when he can stay healthy, to be the number 2 with Terry McLaurin. Speaking of the defense through the draft, I mean, Jamin Davis, you're going to ask if I like the pick. I mean,
Right.
got his auto right here, autographed
there
rookie
it
card.
is.
So I'm
There
a
it
big
is.
fan. I'm a big fan. I would have liked them to see them address left tackle in the first round, but it's even better came out of it. They get their starting linebacker who can play the entire game on defense. They grab a left tackle in the second round with Sam Cosmi out of Texas, and then they signed Charles Leno Jr. just the other day to more than likely be the starting left tackle, if not be a depth piece. So this defense is going to carry them. I'm excited. Now the schedule, 5th toughest schedule in the league according to PFF, which is tough. You open up against the Chargers. You got to play teams like the Saints, the Chiefs, the Packers, the Buccaneers, the Seahawks. Those are tough teams. So is Ryan Fitzpatrick really going to be this guy that's going to outduel your Tom Brady's or your Aaron Rodgers or your Pat Mahomes? No, he's not. So that's why I think they're going to come into an open quarterback battle at training camp, and don't count out Taylor Heineke, because I think he might turn some heads, hopefully. But you just got to win games, and you have to put up some offensive numbers, because I felt so bad for this defense last year, just nonstop having to stop the team every single time on your 3 and outs and on your defensive drives. That being said, this team I think is built for 3 to 4 years, and I just thank God that Ron Rivera is the man in charge, because he did it right.
I said
So
that earlier. Yeah,
I'm excited.
He's a professional around here. I like him. So I had 2 questions. Number 1 was putting your trust in Ryan Fitzpatrick. You answered that because Tyler Heineke, you said might win the job.
Yep.
The other question is I think you guys finished with 5 division games.
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not a fan, because for some reason Washington always struggles against division opponents. I mean, as does every team. You got to play Dallas twice, Eagles twice, and the Giants. I believe it's the Giants 3 times. But that being said, you do that all to end the season, which is unfair. Dallas, Eagles, Giants are your last 5 games. It's just annoying. I hate the Eagles, I hate the Giants, and I hate the Cowboys. And to end the season on them, there's nothing more than the Giants and the Eagles are going to want to do than play spoiler those last few weeks. Oh, you need a win to get in? Okay, I'm going to play as hard as I can just to make sure you don't make the playoffs. And, we'll see what the Giants are. We'll see what the Eagles are, and I still think the Cowboys are the odds-on favorite to win this division.
Wow.
But I'm excited. I'm expecting big things. Big things. But that being said, if things don't work out, this team could be a quarterback away.
Yeah, I agree. The defense is elite, and I said earlier on the show that I think Washington, if they're, if they finish number 1 in the league defensively, don't be surprised. They're that good.
Yeah.
And I said it all hinges on that quarterback position in Ryan Fitzpatrick. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm a big Washington guy. I have him winning the division. I like him a lot.
Interesting. I hope.
Yeah. I'm not big on the Cowboys at all. We can discuss that another night, but I'm not big on the Cowboys.
Oh, baby.
Of course.
I'm
Of
more
course
of a
not.
Jet guy, though.
Listen, one last note here about the football team. With all those tough games up front, and then you have your divisional opponents down at the end of the schedule, you could be fighting uphill and be facing these teams at the end of the year. So it would be tough to have to make up ground versus these teams that you're so familiar playing with, playing against, that is. So, I feel like they just set them up for failure a bit when you look at Dallas's schedule, and it's much, much easier. They caught a huge break with the schedule. So I have the football team as a wild card team. Spoiler for our next segment, we're doing our predictions for where we're going to have people finish in the division in the wild card. But Listen, Bologna, I'm happy to have you back anytime. Loved having you,
Please.
man.
Yeah,
Anytime we can
big
get another
time.
Nick fan on the podcast, man. It is always positive vibes on here.
Love
I'm
that.
all for it. All for it.
That's
Let
right,
me
man.
know. Let me know whenever. I'll be here.
We
But
got
thank
you,
you
man.
much.
We got you. Listen, thank you for your
Yes.
time. This is the Brothers and Ball podcast. That's Stephen Bologna.
Thanks,
We will
Steve.
be right back after the break.
All right, welcome back. This is the Brothers and Ball podcast. I want to thank Stephen Bologna for coming on and giving us that great insight. It was great to hear some of what he was talking and to flip gears into the baseball. So thanks again, Steve, for that. But we're going to finish off here with the NFL with our way too early division winners, conference winners, Super Bowl winner. So, Chris, I'm going to start with you. Let's do the NFC. Run it down. Who you got winning the divisions?
Okay, I'm going to go east, south, northwest in that order.
East, South. Okay.
All right.
North and West. Yep.
NFC East, we know I'm a huge Cowboy believer, huge Dak Prescott guy.
Oh,
Dallas is winning. After looking at the schedule, oh my goodness, is it a cakewalk? They might have the best record in the NFC by the end of this thing. I'm saying 11 or 12 wins at minimum for Dallas. And like I told you when Sauter was on a few weeks ago, don't be surprised when Dak's in this MVP conversation all season long. Gonna move on from them.
All right, now I'll listen. Oh
NFC South, fairly easy one. Drew Brees retired. Carolina's got a new quarterback. Can't expect much from them. Their defense is also lackluster. And Atlanta, they were at the top of the draft this year. Don't expect a big turnaround from them. Obviously, the returning champions, Tampa Bay, is going to take home that division fairly easily. Now, in the NFC North, if you listen to last week's podcast, I said that Aaron Rodgers is going to end up being a Packer this season. That means they're going to win the division. They have Aaron Rodgers. So it's not going to be the Vikings. The Bears are still a couple years away with Fields. So I can't give it to them yet. Packers take care of business. They mend this thing a little bit for next year. Now for the West, the 49ers are going to take this division, and that is because Trey Lance is going to take over the job relatively early.
Whoa.
I don't see Jimmy G hanging in there for very long. I really don't. And I think that Lance is better than we give him credit for. And I think Shanahan knew that he wanted Lance the whole time for a good reason. He's going to be able to do things with this quarterback that he's not done in the past with other quarterbacks. So you got Dallas, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and by the Bay, San Francisco. Those are my four division winners in the NFC.
If you're by the Bay, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it quick.
Okay.
I love what San Francisco is doing. I really do. But the division is loaded. And
Okay.
you have them taking over all those teams.
You forget that they were in the Super Bowl when they were healthy 2 years ago. You forget about it. I understand you lose a coordinator, you lose an offensive quarterbacks coach with Mike LaFleur, but I'm giving it to the Niners, man. I think that they upgraded big time at QB.
Unbelievable. Okay, NFC, my turn, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay, NFC East, Dallas, no, absolutely not. Philly, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Come on.
If Philly had a top 1, 2, or 3 pick. Giants, I like a lot, but I'm going with a repeat champion, Washington football team. Okay, what they did in the offseason is incredible. I love Ron Rivera as a coach. He gets the best out of every single player in that locker room. And he is just a well-respected guy. I think players respect him. So I like Washington to win it. Fitzpatrick scares me a smidge.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Washington. I think that defense is elite level. Like, if we look up and they're the best defense in the NFL at the end of the season, I don't think anybody's surprised.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with Washington.
That's legit.
The South, I'm not wasting any time. That's Tampa Bay. You mentioned it. Breeze retired. Atlanta's, Ryan's on the way down. They just had the 4th pick. I mean, what can you do?
Mm-hmm.
This one was a little tough. I'm taking Green Bay in the North. I don't trust Kirk Cousins. The Bears are a little scary, but I'd like to see exactly what Fields is. I think he's going to be good, but it's too tough for me to pick. If the teams stay as is, Green Bay wins that division. And then in the West, I'm going to take the Rams. Not that I think they're contenders to win it all, but I think the Stafford move makes them a better team now. I don't think the Rams are anywhere near contending in the NFC East, but I do think Stafford makes them a much better team than Goff.
Mhm.
So, Washington football team, Tampa, Green Bay, and the Rams. That's my division winners in the NFC.
Way too much faith in Stafford over there.
Come on.
Way too much faith in Stafford.
It's not faith. He's just better than Goff.
Who cares? He's not
And
better
that-
than Wilson, Murray, and maybe not even Trey Lance for what I know. We'll see.
Oh, my Christ.
I don't like Matt Stafford. I'm not a fan.
You're
Not
a
a fan.
hater. Why?
Yeah,
This
call
is too much.
it what you want. If you have
It was-
Megatron and you can't win a playoff game, you're
Oh
fraudulent.
my God!
Sorry.
Earlier
You give
was
me
Westbrook,
Megatron,
now
I'm winning
Stafford.
a couple games. I'm throwing for a couple touchdowns.
Look, I will say this: Stafford has. This is it for Stafford. There's no more excuses.
Yeah.
He's got weapons. He's got the coach. He's got a defense. This is it.
Mhm.
He gets no more excuses after this. This is it.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, we'll switch gears. We'll go to the AFC. I'll give you my
Yep.
predictions here.
Yep,
Same thing,
go for
East, South, Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
In the AFC East, we have a new champion, but a familiar champion. The New England Patriots are going to top this division. Don't have faith in the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen almost, was in everyone's MVP eyes last season. I see a massive drop-off for that guy. I really don't see him as good as everyone thought he was. And I see the quarterback play for New England being a lot steadier with Cam Newton in his second year with some weapons around him. I really like a lot of the things that they did with Cam Newton year one. And it gets overlooked the fact that he led the league in rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks. It gets overlooked. You talk about how bad he was as a thrower, how inaccurate, yada, yada, yada. He was effective in the run game. And that's part of the reason why they were even able to win as many games as they did last year. So I'm going with the Pats. They're going to be back on top. That defense is going to be back to form. AFC South, another huge bounce back year for the man Carson Wentz. Listen, he's going to get back to MVP status a little bit here. He's going to win a lot of games, and he is going to have this team at the top of the division. It's not the most competitive division. I'll give that to you. There's really not a lot of comp, but Carson's going to do his thing, and he's going to remind you why he was in the MVP conversation prior to tearing his ACL. And in the AFC North, Lamar Jackson does too much winning. You can tell me all you want about the Browns and how talented they are. I can't get down with them to be a better regular season team than the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's really, really good. We forget how good he is because he's already been around for a while. And when you win the MVP and then you go a season without winning the MVP, people kind of overlook it. But this past season, he was a better thrower than he was his MVP season. He's steadily getting better. I got faith in Lamar. AFC West, Chiefs, no explanation.
Okay, so we're not too far off here. We're not too far off. I'll start in the AFC East. I do like what New England has done. I do think they are a better team than they were last year. But Cam Newton is a year older. And I just don't see that. I'm going to stick with Buffalo, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't think there's a team in the NFL that is more well coached than Buffalo. And their coordinator was up for multiple head coaching jobs and didn't get one. So that's still there. And I think that's a big reason for Josh Allen's success. Because I'm not a big Josh Allen guy, but they run a system that fits him. So I'm going to stick with Buffalo. I think they have a lot of talent, and that coaching staff, man, it really is the best in the NFL. And I firmly believe that. I'm going to go to the South. I'm going to Colts as well. Carson Wentz, I think, is having a big bounce back year. I'm in full agreement there. I love Frank Wright as head coach. I think they lucked out when Josh McDaniels backed out. Frank Wright slides in. Colts win that division. I'm going to agree as well with Baltimore. Everyone is on Cleveland, and I think Cleveland's going to be a good team. But you're right. As far as a regular season team and winning games, week in and week out. I like Baltimore, and that's another team that's extremely well coached and has a culture from top to bottom. Baltimore has historically just been, just there. They're not going to beat themselves. So Baltimore, I think, wins the division. I like them a lot. And then Kansas City, Christ, we're not getting into that. So
Yeah.
Buffalo, Indy, Baltimore, Kansas City.
Okay. All right. That's definitely, I think, more likely outcome than mine. But I got faith in New England with all the changes they made, and Belichick on a bounce back.
Yeah.
So we'll go with wild cards. In the NFC, so there's going to be 3 wild card teams. My number one wild card, as in they're going to have the best record out of the teams that didn't make the playoffs as a division leader.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona Cardinals, one of the most improved teams coming into this year, in my opinion. When it comes down to it, they have weapons. A draft pick that went under the radar that we didn't even get to talk about last week was Rondale Moore.
Yeah,
This is going to be one of the most. This is going to be one of the most explosive offenses that we see. I mean, Hopkins is Hopkins. There's just going to be a lot of fireworks on this offense, and they added James Conner for a little ground and pound, some physicality. I think they made all the right moves, pressed all the right buttons. J.J. Watt's going to have the defense improved. Now, the second wild card team, I'm going to go with Minnesota Vikings, and I think they just have a dominant running game. Dominant running game, and they have an identity. They play into it, and they're just going to be one of the top teams in the league just based on the fact that they're going to ground and pound. And we saw it when Dalvin Cook was healthy last year. He can go. He can be the best running back in the league.
Yeah, he's a top 5 back.
Any given week, he can give you 150, 200 all-purpose yards because he can catch it too. So Cook is a real weapon. Justin Jefferson, Thielen, they're a very good offense as well with a formidable defense. Now, wild card number 3, a team that you had winning the division, the Washington football team. They are going to be in it just strictly based off the defense. The fact that Fitzpatrick makes some mistakes, but just he keeps you in it. He gives you a chance. He makes enough big plays to combat those mistakes. Out of my 3 wild card teams right there, the team that I'm leaving out is those Rams, man. I can't get down with them. I can't get down. They're too Hollywood, too much hype. They're too cool. I'm seeing them miss the playoffs this year. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the writing on the wall. I don't think Goff is as bad as everyone makes him seem. I see the writing on the wall. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. But Cardinals, Vikings, football team.
All right. So out of your NFC teams, the biggest miss to me is Seattle. Russell Westbrook being out of there. That's a tough one for me to swallow. But the number 1 wild card team we agree on, and we did not talk about this beforehand.
Nope.
Is Arizona. The moves they made are incredible. Kyler Murray, another year in that system with Cliff Kingsbury, another guy who should have been the Jets head coach. They made the moves. They added Watt to go alongside Chandler Jones.
And then Collins, we didn't mention, is a big-time player.
They got Collins. They did lose Patrick Peterson, but I don't think that's a huge loss.
At this
hurts.
stage in his career. Right?
Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, but I don't think it's huge. Number 2, I'm going to stay in the same division. I'm going Seattle. Russell Wilson is too good. So I have 3 NFC West teams making it, and the Niners not making it. But that's not me saying the Niners aren't good enough. They are. It's tough, though. It's just tough. That's a tough division for me, and I don't know what they're doing at quarterback, so it was tough for me to slide San Francisco in because they're another team that I like. Shanahan, Lynch, I like that. I'm going Seattle as number 2. And then number 3, the New York Giants.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh,
Joe Judge, you listen to me? Joe Judge, he is the right guy for the job. Okay. And I know a lot of this season hinges on Daniel Jones, but Saquon's coming back, right? They got Tony in the draft. They signed Galladay. They still have an elite offensive weaponry.
Yeah.
Okay. it depends on Daniel Jones, and Gettleman is linked to Daniel Jones, which is why they're still with him. I'm telling you, that Giants team, I mean, they're going to be there. So I'm going Giants, and they're going to have a shot to beat Washington, to beat out Washington for that division title. I like the Giants a lot this year.
Only reason I don't see, just to touch on the fact that you had the Seahawks, and that's my biggest miss, I think it all falls out with them this year. I think Wilson plays for a new team following season.
Oof.
I don't see it happening. I think Carroll's gone or Wilson's gone, one or the other. I think it's it for them. Yeah, I don't think they necessarily kissed and made up. And how in the hell are you leaving the Cowboys out of the playoffs?
Nah,
I should come over there and I should smack you right across your face. The Dallas Cowboys, man. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we're going to talk about it a bunch this season as things unwind and as things come around. But, you know, for someone who married into the Dallas family, I'm disappointed. Frankly, disappointed. I'm showing this to the in-laws. But anyway, we're going AFC Wild Cards. My number one wild card team and the number one shock of the NFL season this year will be first-year coach in Los Angeles, the Chargers, surging, okay? The best team in the AFC, possibly besides the Chiefs, record-wise this year, or maybe the Chiefs and the Ravens, I'm not sure. But I say 11, maybe even 12 wins for the Chargers.
Whoa.
They're going to make a huge, huge leap. I don't think we understand how bad of a coach Anthony Lynn was. I don't want to throw shade there, but the fact that you're upgrading, just at the coaching spot, Chargers are going to be much, much improved. And I think Herbert is better than we all think as well. Kind of went under the radar being on a really bad team last year. Now, second wild card, Cleveland Browns. We know that they're talented. We know that they can get it done. We saw them do it this past year. Just look out for them in the playoffs. I think that they could really make some noise as well because they did so this year. They have the right guy in charge with Stefanski. And against my better judgment, the Buffalo Bills just have to make it. They have too good of a team. They've all been together for a while, like you said. Dayball's still in charge of the offense, which means it'll still be a solid offense. I'm just waiting for them to get a run game. I didn't see them make any moves to get a running back in place so they can start running the ball. They threw it how many times against Baltimore? How many times versus Kansas City? Like, you can't be one-dimensional in this league. I'm sorry. So they make it, but they squeak in. They're not as good as they were last year by any means.
Oof. Okay, so we're on the same page in the AFC here. A little bit of a different order. I have the number one AFC wildcard team being Cleveland.
Yep.
I think they're loaded roster-wise, top to bottom. Baker Mayfield's the question. If he stays at that level or gets a little bit better, I think they're a threat. I do. My next team, who you like a lot, is the Chargers. I have them at 6 here. I like the Chargers. Herbert in he had a big rookie year. I think he's going to have a big year again. Yeah. So I like the Chargers a lot. And then my last team sneaking in here is going to be the Miami Dolphins. Okay. I think they are, the theme here has been teams that are well coached, and the Dolphins are another one that are just well coached. You just get the most out of every single player on the roster. So I'm taking the Dolphins. So the only difference in the AFC we have as far as teams making it is New England versus Miami, which is, not a big discrepancy. So I think the AFC it looks pretty straightforward here, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. I can see Miami making it. I can see New England making it. It's, that's just splitting hairs there, really, because neither of them are Super Bowl contenders, but they got a chance to make it in to the big ones here. So into the playoff. But we do have to go over conference final matchups, title game matchups, and then the Super Bowl, of course. So I'll start with my NFC and then my AFC matchup, and then I'll turn it over to you. The Bucs are going to get back to the NFC title game at the very least. Reason being, they brought back all 22 starters, and they're just way too good. Way too good. They even found a way to bring back Antonio Brown, which is just crazy. They're only going to get better. It's going to get real scary out there. And something that you're not going to like at all, they're going to face the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are winning multiple playoff games this year. Dak Prescott is here. He's paid. He's ready to go. Comeback Player of the Year is a lock. All right? Comeback Player of the Year is a lock, and he's going to win multiple playoff games. In the MVP conversation all season long, top 5 quarterback statistically, just like he's been over the past 2 years, prior to his injury last year and the year before. He was top 5. So, without further ado, we'll go to the AFC. Chiefs are making it back. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they brought back some solid players, and the people that they let go don't really matter to me. Sammy Watkins, I can care less about. Le'Veon Bell, you didn't re-sign. He's washed anyway. The Chiefs are going to be better because they have a better offensive line. They addressed exactly what was wrong with their team in the Super Bowl and the reason why they lost the Super Bowl. And I have them facing off versus the Ravens in the AFC title game. I think Lamar takes that next step of being that quarterback, that regular season MVP caliber quarterback in the playoffs. I think it was a bit of a flukish game versus Buffalo. Justin Tucker misses a bunch of field goals, and they're not moving the ball as well as they should be. So Ravens make it into the AFC title game. They play like themselves this postseason.
Okay, all right. So Tampa Bay is a lock in the NFC.
Yep.
Okay. Dallas didn't even make my playoffs, so we're not even gonna.
How? I'm not sure.
I'm going Tampa,
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles Rams, and not because I love the Rams, but just because I'm looking at these teams I have. They were there. They have a Super Bowl head coach. They have a loaded roster. They're another team that's, to me, is kind of like Cleveland. They're loaded from top to bottom, but it's dependent on that quarterback. Is that quarterback elite level? I'm going Rams there. AFC, I'm also in lockstep, big time here. Kansas City is a lock, and I also like Baltimore. You're right. Tucker missing field goals left and right. He's the best kicker in football. It's Kansas City, it's Kansas City, Baltimore, and if we get a Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, AFC Championship game, oh my God,
that's a treat. That's a treat for sure. So, my Super Bowl matchup is, surprisingly enough, the same exact matchup as last year. We're going to see Brady and Mahomes again, 2.0 here. So it's going to be another showdown. This time, it's going to be. The Chiefs know what they're getting into, and hopefully the Chiefs have a healthy offensive line at that point. And as much as it hurts me to say, Tom Brady's going to come out on top again. This guy is going to repeat for a second time with a different team, and we're just going to be talking about a whole different conversation when it happens. He has a way of making people believe. Sending text messages to his team the week of the Super Bowl. We're going to win this thing. Just instilling that confidence into his team, and the fact that the team has just adopted everything that he's about. Now he's sort of free without Belichick. I think the Bucs take off this year onto another championship. I just think they're even better than they were last year somehow.
Wow. Okay. So I have Tampa getting to the Super Bowl. I have Kansas City beating Baltimore, so it is a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Mahomes takes what happened in the Super Bowl, learns from it. They got a better offensive line. They're a better team than they were last year. I think Kansas City comes back and wins the Super Bowl. I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL by far. You mentioned the 22 starters. It's an unprecedented thing, all of them coming back. I just think Mahomes is the one talent that can overcome something like that. I'm going Kansas City winning the Super Bowl, second time in 3 years, over Brady. I will say, though, if Brady does pull off another repeat with a different team, boy, oh boy.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not going to be talking about greatest NFL player of all time. We're going to be talking about greatest athlete of all time of any sport.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the Bucs aren't going to skip a beat, man. And I'm glad that you at least
they're
have
going to
get
be
back
there.
to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're going to be there. They're going to be there.
Surprised we agree on that, but listen,
Yeah.
watch out for your, I guess, Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to be a huge hater on that all season. You're counting on Matt Stafford doing something he's never done. I'm counting on Dak doing something he's never done. So it is what it is right there. But we are going to wrap it up for tonight. The Brothers in Ball podcast. We just went through our way too early NFL predictions, division leaders, wild cards, all that good stuff. Mike, what do you got for the people before we head out?
Hey, thanks again for listening. Appreciate it. Can't wait for next week. I mean, we're going to be in playoff mode in the NBA. No more speculation. We're going to be live in it. And it's exciting. I can't wait to see what my boys, the Knicks, do. Let's get it. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, you heard them. Let's get it. We'll see you guys next week. Brothers and Ball podcast. That's Mike. I'm Chris. We'll see you next week.